The ones that are going to be joining us, they are squirrely.
Karen?
They're well, Karen joined us via Zoom today, but there might have been some imbibing happening.
Imbibing?
Yeah.
Alive.
There might have been some.
Oh. No, get off of there.
No. Okay, good. It was the phone.
Yeah, it was
good.
me. Imbibing of what? We probably shouldn't say.
Bloody Marys and margaritas, I believe.
Who were these people? I need to come to a Sunday get together.
I was gonna say we have a safe space, so I don't think it's fair to call them out.
That's okay.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Sarah. We're just gonna banter a bit until people try and make you intro.
Hi, Sarah. So, Sarah got to see the frogs.
Oh, Sarah.
Hugging. They were hugging. Oh, and I did make a little girl. I went to drop the frogs off I went to the cemetery because there's a nice little creek there, and I went to drop them off, and there was a little girl there with her mom and dad, and it was her birthday. Oh. And I said, "Did you want to see these frogs before I put them in the pond?" And she's like, so she got really excited, and she goes, "What are they doing?"
They just love each other.
And her mom goes, "They're hugging." I said, "Yeah, they're trying to keep each other safe for the relocation." And so then I said, do you want to release them?" And she was like, so I let her put them in the pond, and the mom was like, "Don't joggle their brains out."
How old was the little girl? Did you ask?
Maybe 7.
Oh.
So it was pretty cute.
I would say the best part of my week was the 2 little neighbor kids have decided I'm their new best friend. And it's kind of cute. They are the little girl that lives next door and the little boy that lives across the street. And the little boy across the street has bright red hair. And when he was like 3 years old, he would stand out on the front porch and just piss everywhere. And I was like, that's a kid I gotta know. And so they have been asking over the last couple of days if they can play in our backyard. And usually we say no because the dog is out there and she's so excitable. And they came in the other day when I was in my garden, and I didn't even know they came in until I looked up, and there's the redheaded boy just standing there staring at me. He goes, "What you doing?" I'm like, "I'm planting my garden." "Well, I've got some real tools at home if you want me to go get those."
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, so in and out all day. 4 or 5 times they were in and out playing with me.
What did you plant?
Lots of green beans, broccoli, carrots, a lot of tomatoes, Swiss chard. I don't know what that is.
Nice.
Some peppers. Lots of marigolds.
Let me know how the carrots do. I have hesitated on. I didn't know if they would be hard or not. Like hard to grow.
Oh no, they're easy.
Are they? I haven't. I don't know anybody who's ever grown them before. Yeah. So
green beans are super easy.
I've got those planted. Yeah. So my cilantro's kicking ass.
Nice.
It's huge.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So
I got some broccoli, zucchini.
Damn.
Cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could grow broccoli. I think my garden gets too much sun.
Does it taste bitter?
Mm-hmm. So does my lettuce.
I wonder if it's the soil, like the acidity level.
Well, I've looked into that before, and it's been an epic failure every time. So yeah. I just stopped trying. Our tomatoes are great. My herbs are great. I just don't do well with the broccoli and lettuce. I did put some lettuce in some containers up by the house, more in the shade this year.
Yeah, they do, and they like cool weather, so they like to be planted like in April.
Yeah, early. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. All you can do is try.
Yeah. What was everybody else's highlight of the week? I've got 2 new best friends, if you didn't hear, under the age of 7. So their discernment levels are pretty low.
Does that match with yours or?
No. Because for like the last year and a half, I've been like, keep those kids away from me, not in my yard. And Matt's always like, you're the one in this relationship that's going to be yelling at the kids to get off our damn yard. I'm like, yeah, get out of the yard. And now we're best friends.
Full circle. So no highlights, Lena, Jen?
I mean, it was my birthday, but
That's right.
What?
Did you do anything fun?
we went to the gun range and had some fun there. And then I went to Hound Dog and bought some rocks and had some dinner, social distance in the driveway dinner with Nick's family. So it was good. It was real good. New moon was in Gemini on Friday on my birthday, and I turned 33. And I started my moon cycle. So, all of it.
It's a whammy.
Yeah, a big whammy this weekend. I slept until like 10:30, 11 today. So that was, for whatever reason, there was some cool stuff happening and pulling me back. So I kept sleeping. That's pretty much it.
Nice.
How about you, Lena?
Pretty much the most exciting thing was today. We went to visit my aunt and uncle in Davenport because we're doing some rearranging in the house, and there's a shelving unit that they wanted to take off of our hands, so we delivered it to them, and then we had an appointment at the Little Rock and Gem shop in Davenport where we got to do our social distancing shopping. We had the shop to ourselves for like a half hour, found some goodies, so that was
That's
really fun.
awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very
Nice.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Missy, your highlight was releasing the frogs.
I don't know that that was my highlight, but I am certainly relieved that they will be croaking somewhere else tonight because they are quite loud. And I just the tadpole thing is I don't know. It's a moral dilemma.
Jen, did you see Jamie can't hear you very well?
I'm going to turn up my mic and see.
You
That
are
helps.
quiet,
Am I
but I
quiet?
thought
Okay.
you are, but I thought it was because you just were so finely tuned. You didn't need to be loud. You just knew the perfect.
No, I'm sure my
Sweet
cats probably have, because they like to jump up, and I'm sure that they've bumped my settings a little bit, so I'll turn it up.
And Lena's pretty fuzzy again to me.
Lena, you are fuzzy.
Like video?
Mm-hmm.
I have made a resolution for this only thing today. I don't know what we call it, episode. I'm not going to swear.
Okay.
Okay? So
I
that's my
mean-
vow.
I don't know why the fuck you would want to do that, but okay.
Nope. Not going to.
Okay.
Just saying it, putting it out there. Let's talk
Okay.
about some animals.
Yes.
Am I
Let's
better?
do that.
No.
I think it's just my camera on my computer then. I don't know.
Well,
Could
you're
be
gorgeous
internet
either
speed.
way.
Yeah.
Because I think if I put the light on, that made it worse last time.
Yeah, it does seem like it's the speed, like your
Internet speed, maybe?
frame by framing. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Probably crappy internet then.
At least we can hear you. So
Well, sorry.
that's the biggest.
So who's here?
Okay.
We have Jamie and Sarah.
Jamie, we have 4 people watching somewhere along the lines. 3, 4, 3. I know it's a holiday weekend, so it's kind
And
of
it's
nice out.
gorgeous out.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Yeah.
Catch
All right.
the replay.
They're probably
we can still do good information that can be watched on replay, right?
Yeah. Yep. So what are we going to talk about with these animals today? Whose idea was this?
I think that was me.
I think it was Missy.
I do too.
Partially because we just finished an animal class in February, and so they have been sort of that was a perspective shift. I was able to look at, or I am able to look at things a little differently now after having that channeled information, and partially because
explain that. What was your perspective shift?
Just in that when you look at the world, you can look at it differently. So if you're driving down the road and you see an animal, a year ago, my first thought isn't, I wonder how that's serving the collective, or I wonder if that dead animal is on my timeline or on someone else's. There are different thoughts in my head now compared to before. And I think people just really resonate with animals and animal totems. I think that it is I don't know if it's because I've kind of thought maybe it's because we live in the Midwest, and I think that a lot of us have some Native American backgrounds, and I think that may just genetically be in our soul streams, or etherically be in our soul streams, or land-wise be in our soul streams. We are just thick in an area here where I think that the potential for that, is it considered a mythology or just beliefs? It's a belief system, right? I would call it a belief system versus a mythology. So I think that we just live in a place where that belief system is strong. So, but for our piece of it, when we are channeling, what we talk about is different ways that the animal collectives serve humanity. So towards the end, I did get all of your animals for you that you requested. Because each animal collective serves the human collective in a certain capacity. They add and purge things for us as humans, which is really, really cool.
Is that because they're an extension of us?
Yes, because they're incarnated. Their entire incarnation is based on humanity at this dimensional level. They are just here to serve us for 4, 5, and 6.
That makes me kind of sad.
I know. It took a lot of getting used to, where I was like, but why are the beagles not mad at us? All these years of testing and all these horrible things that we have done to animals throughout history, even way back when we've been horrible to animals from the beginning. I mean, right up to little Jackie Paper, right? He left that poor dragon all alone.
Oh.
You guys don't know that song? Pete the Dragon?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Pete the Dragon.
Little Jackie Paper, he went and grew up and left the dragon alone.
Damn it, Jackie.
I used to cry and cry and cry. You did swear.
It was less than 5 minutes. Well,
I know it's very different. I'm familiar with a different dragon song, so.
Which one?
Puff the Magic Dragon.
That's the same song, isn't it?
Oh yeah, maybe
is it based off of that?
It's based off the movie Pete's Dragon, I think.
Oh, that's where I got confused. Puff the Magic Dragon. Yeah, I don't know, because my sister used to listen to it, my sister Jackie, and I would make her turn it off because it made me so sad. I hated it. I'm like, you can Dexter Morgan the humans all you want to. I am so down with that. But once you start hurting animals, I'm out. I can't do it. Don't kill the dog in the movie.
Oh.
No.
Right.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that is? Why do we have such an affinity for animals?
Hey, Cheryl. So, do you think we do because we know on some level that they're here to serve us? So, we're here to protect and kind of care for them in some aspects, and, if they're here doing something for us, shouldn't we be taking care of them? Protecting them,
Yeah. I think part of
guarding
that,
them in some way?
and I think where the counter where we tend to do the bad things as a human collective, it's because we have that ego or the shadow side saying, oh, they serve us, so the dominance comes in, and all of that. So I think that just it's the same underneath. It's just how we're acting upon it, and how we're perceiving what their role is, whether it's in a good or bad way. But I want to say, Missy, I don't know how much you want to dive into this part of your class, but the part that really just helped with that perspective shift and knowing that they're there to support us and to actually be there is like seeing them on or having a relationship with them almost on the level as like the archangels. By putting that in perspective, for me, like they are higher vibrationally than archangels. And to me, that was like, what? Wow. Okay. And so that by sitting with that for a long enough period, like I can see how they're so selfless, and I can see how we call on them as easy as we can, and how they do serve just as much. Like we don't treat animal spirits the same as you treat, like, let's say Archangel Michael and Raphael and stuff. We have them in a totally different category. But once I put the animals in that same category-ish, it really shifted the game for me.
Good.
Yeah. So I don't know if everybody else is confused by all that, but maybe doesn't know that whole system or whatever.
I hadn't heard that before.
I think you pretty well. That's the basic concept, is that they are vibrationally a higher frequency than the archangels. The entire animal collective, and this is going to include our Terran friends versus our non-Terran friends. So even ETs that are animal hybrids, they're vibrationally, you're going to be talking about very vibrational beings. So a lot of love, lot of sacrifice, in a different way, I think, than what we think of sacrifice. Which kind of, you said the word dominion, or no, you said dominance. And it made me think of the Bible, and having dominion over animals, and how it says that in the Bible. And then I was thinking, I think that humanity took dominion and went dominion, and then I think it's your perspective of dominion. Like, what if my perspective of dominion would be something more like the wolf that is in the back of the pack to make sure the front of the pack stays okay. It's that
Protective.
That's my dominion. That's how I remain dominant. Where I think other people or other leaders or whatever have a different perspective on it. I think that that's pretty common with animals in general, because they are small physically and we feel like we can do that to them.
I can't stop looking at Jen's cat because I love that cat so much, and it's always right there behind her left shoulder. And she's like, it's Nick's cat. It's not hers.
Seriously, other than Sundays now, I don't hardly see him. He's always... So it's not me, it's you guys. He likes to be the center of attention.
And he just sits there and kind of monitors us all.
He's part of the show.
I love it. Oh. What's his name?
His name's Gustav, but we call him Goose.
Hey, Goose.
Aww.
Oh, he can't hear. You got headphones on. Oh, honey.
You do love me, but you love him more. I get it.
Yeah. So what do you think what are we going to say about this? How are we going to approach this? What are the questions that we have? What are the questions anybody has about animals? I mean, there's like all kinds of different ways to think about the animals. You know, there's power animals, medicine animals, totem animals, familiars. To me, I can't even label because I just know what an animal means to me. And if it's just here for a short amount of time to help me through something or to teach me something or get my attention, or if it's here to walk with me for the duration of my life. So
I was just going to say, I would love to know how you guys work with them. Like, I feel like you probably, all three of you have worked more with animal spirits in more than I have. So I would love to hear what you have to say, how they've brought into your sessions. You know, are you pulling energy from them for the client? Are you sending the idea with the client when they walk out the door and then asking the client to then call in the energy? How is it that you're utilizing them in your practice?
Really good question.
Stunned silence.
no, thinking silence. Formulate thought silence. So for me, I will say one example of one of the animals that I has that walks with me is wolf. It's wolf coyote. And I had a space that I needed to be really, really protected. And so I would send the wolf there if I wasn't there to guard it and to like run perimeter. And I could see him running perimeter and keeping it safe and guarded and protected. And so then when sessions would start around this time too, it would be like I'd call that wolf in specifically to guard the doors and to run perimeter to keep us safe.
That is genius. How much more? That's genius. Like, wouldn't
it's not that I thought of it. It just happened one day. It was like, oh, I can send the wolf in. I don't have to be there, and I don't have to be thinking about and beaming energy that way. I can just.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is what I know about dogs is that they like to be put to work. Physical animals like to be put to work. So can you imagine? Wouldn't a spirit animal want to be put to work as well and utilized on that level? And doesn't that give them purpose and meaning and fulfillment? And
think about like the Native American, like the Native Americans. The Native Americans had dog soldiers, and the dog soldiers were to, sit at the periphery of the village basically, and. Who was it that told me this? Jamie, did you tell me this? That they were staked down. That when they were on guard for the village, they were staked down so that they could not leave their posts. So if another warring tribe came in or something like that, they were there. And they were there defending the village. But they couldn't run away. So it was another really good reason to send that animal in there because of that property. Because he won't run away.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some time to absorb that because it's just like, to me, I'm like, yes, how stupid am I for not having thought of that before?
Not at all.
No. I do a lot more animal work with journey work and information giving because that's kind of my shtick, I guess, of my realm of things. So whatever shows up, whoever shows up, I very much like, I don't normally call on a specific. It's like, okay, who's here now and what do they have for us? So that's kind of been my thing. I've also noticed, for me specifically, the animals are much like the messenger. So I thought since 2016, 17 or whatever, that one of my animals was the raven. Like it was like he's been with me, he's traveled with me, he's always around, helping me through this life. And then I come to find that it wasn't Raven's collective. It wasn't the raven. It was a symbol of Odin. So think of how some of that too, it really helped open my perspective recently of going, okay, so all of these things I had like set in my mind, like, oh, this is squirrel energy, this is this energy, this is, and then go, okay, well, and then go look it up or look up in my books. I got plenty of books on animal spirit and all this stuff. And I kind of miss this branch of like, but it's just an extension of, or a symbol of maybe something greater that I need to be looking into or welcoming into my life. They were just the message bringer. They were the totem of something else. It's not that I needed raven energy to get through all of that. I needed to see a bigger picture. So that's been my focus lately, is not necessarily, okay, what's this animal mean? Or what does this rock mean? What does this number mean? It's just like, okay, what is the message that something's trying to get in? And I don't really care who's bringing it, as long as it's just, I think there's a lot of unique perspectives to animals that I don't think we give a lot of thought to, when especially just starting, like, oh my god, I want to know my totems, I want to know my power, I want to know this. And we kind of get, sometimes with me, I got stuck there very easily. So like, oh, well, raven's my power animal and bear's my this animal, and I'm like, ooh. And then they leave, and then you're like, but I thought this was my animal, and then something else comes in. And so it's so fluid that I hope people will take it and learn with it and work with these animals and give them purpose. I love that, giving them something to do and helping us out, but then not being too rigid in what we've thought or what we've been given information. Because what do you... Single was one of mine. Oh, okay. I was like, wait, who's here now?
No, I was laughing because I also have a bear, and usually when I see the bear, it's just sitting there munching on something. It's just sitting down, eating, and watching. And I'm like, yeah, you need a job.
Him and Jesus.
Bear's been super lazy, but for me, like with me, but they're very good with like medicinal. Like for me, I've worked with bear a lot in some of that alchemical, the shamanic alchemical stuff. And if they need to bring, I don't know what herb they need or what shows you, they're great for that. Bear is so good.
Yeah, bear root. They dig out roots for themselves when they need healing. So I have two that walk with me. So side by side. And one is on my left, one is on my right. One is the bear, one is the coyote. When bear is in hibernation, he's beside me, and the wolf coyote walks in front. And when the bear comes out of hibernation, the other one falls back and the bear goes in front. So it's all, for me, it's seasons, it's seasonal. Like it's time to shift into more of a feminine kind of energy when the bear comes out for me. So it's about working with the earth and being one with the earth. And then when the bear goes into hibernation, that aspect of me kind of goes into hibernation too. Not so much like my super aggressive side comes out, but there's these other focuses to have. So does that make sense? Okay. Jen looks like she's stuck in silence.
I think she's frozen.
I think she's frozen.
It's a good freeze, though.
It is.
She looks good.
It's not one of those awful ones.
Mine, yeah. That's what mine are, inevitably. You get me, and I'm like...
I love it.
I am just... People do continually ask when they come for a session. They will ask about their animal totem. And like we can report to them things about the animal totem, but I don't necessarily have a lot of information to give to them because I've never really resonated with that very much. Now, the more they show up in my life, the more I'm aware of it, the more interested I am in it. So it's kind of that cyclical thing.
So when I do a session, I mean, something that I do is I open sacred space, which we talked about last week, right? And I see the person on the table in the center. And then every time it's different. For every person, it's different. The way the space forms around them is different. And the elements that come in to protect us and guard us and watch us are different. But when that space is set, I like open up the curtain to allow that person's higher self to come in, and any guide, any helper, any animal to come in with them. And so that's usually when I will see an animal, is when it walks in with that person's higher self. And so at that time I can say, hey, a buffalo just walked in with you and you've got this little blue jay on your shoulder, or bluebird or whatever. And unless that animal in the session does something that makes me know why it's there, it's just there for that person to figure out on their own later.
Okay, so you do just kind of hand it to the client and say, I just am the messenger. Here is what I see, kind of thing at this moment.
Yeah. Because, unless it tells me why it's there, and what the purpose is during the healing session, there's no reason to explore it. Does that make sense?
It's funny because this has been on my brain today, about our human nature and how difficult it is for us to receive a message, but maybe not necessarily know how to interpret it, because we're human and we want to say who, what, when, where, why, how, right? We want to know who the messenger is. We want to know what the message is. We want to know when it's going to impact us, and we want to know how it's going to impact us. And it's such a gray area. And particularly, I feel most that way about animals. They're fascinating and I love them, but I feel very gray and cloudy when it comes to, their meaning and messages. And I just assumed it wasn't my forte. But I think it's hard for people to put that away. Like, I get a little obsessive. Why was there a red-tailed hawk in my pool? I need to know.
Yeah.
Because then...
So what do? Do you look that up then and try and figure out what the resonance is with you?
Nope.
Really?
I cheat and go right for the channeling.
That's not cheating.
It is kind of. It doesn't require any sort of self-work at all. And there are some things where they're like, Missy, do the work. But there are some things that they don't.
Yeah.
But it's important to pay attention to these things, particularly in reference to, like, I notice it a lot when I am shifting between timelines. There'll be different things that I notice about different animals on timelines or things. That's how the animals are kind of my cue for knowing where I am vibrationally, in that how much can I hear, how much can I interpret right now. If I vibrationally am very low resonance wise, besides the fact that I just feel kind of yuck, it'll change my awareness around me. So I do use it in that capacity.
So do you have a set number or a set, let's say you have a wolf. Does the wolf live on this realm? And so when you see wolf, you know that you're at that vibrational level, or?
No, not really. I just know they gave me a freaking hair.
Awesome.
I have hair energy.
That's a tough one.
Well, does anything here tell you hair? Does anything about this physical vessel say, I'm a hair? Long, lean, running machine. Could produce no babies.
Listen. Oh boy. Lena, what about you?
So I guess I'll answer the question twofold. So as far as what I do, the animals just started popping up. So when I started with card readings, I would pull cards, for whatever the reading pertained and read, and then my mom and I do readings together, and so while she would pull stuff, I would get intuitive hits on different things, and usually it was animal totems, and so I would I guess I would hear it in my head. Claircognizance, I think, is what we refer to that as. And so I would just start to carry my animal speak book with me. And then I would flip to whatever animal it was, and then I would just share the description with the person. And then I'm like, well, there you go. Figure out what that means for you. That's for you. And then it started to happen when I do sound sessions and when I do energy work. Animals pop in and out. And based on the comments that I'm seeing, I'm glad that people are talking about the fact that, they're like, I'm glad that I know what my totem is. And for me, I think they change. They come in at one point in our lives because they have something to tell us. And then it could be different, So if you come to me here for a reading or an energy work session, starfish could pop up. And then next time you come see me 2 months down the road, it's eagle. It doesn't stay the same, I don't think. So, okay, so there's that. And then, Jen, do you follow the Illuminate Cedar Rapids page on Facebook? I don't know if you saw the thread earlier this week about, or maybe it was last week, about like the favorite gods and goddesses that you work with. And we got on the topic of, like, the Norse gods seem to be organizing a coup because they're working with a lot of us. Because I have noticed that lately. Like, okay, so back in 2018, I took a different sound course. And that day that I went out, there were these 2 huge ravens in my yard. I mean, they were like a foot tall. And then I would always notice that there was 2 of them, but they were like at important junctures. And so I thought it aligned with sound. And then all of a sudden I was working on my writing and Odin popped up into what I was writing. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Well, come to find out, 2 years later, we're still working together. And like, why are y'all pinging all of these people around here? So it's interesting how it's the threads have been connected. But yeah, so for me, I pick up on totems. And then I've started to notice things like that in my life too, of the physical manifestations. So. Oh, Jen, we can't hear you.
Oh, Jen, we can't hear you.
How about now?
Yay, there we go.
Okay, good. Okay, anyway, so I'm having a lot of technical difficulties over here. I have some books linked up from an Amazon link, but go ahead and find them locally if you can. But some books that might help for those who are looking for some, who want to do the work and look things up and do all that if something shows up. But I'll post that later, maybe on the page or something, and then maybe have a thread. Like if you have a book, go ahead and add it to the list and kind of do a little share for Animo info. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Lena brings up a interesting topic so what I think is that we have a core group of animals that are with us. Mm-hmm. And some Native American tribes think it's like 9 that travel with you all throughout your life. But then, of course, you have these other animals that come in and out when you need them, when you need your messages or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, I am very fortunate. I did get to do a vision quest, so I did get to figure out what a handful of these were. But how do you figure that out if you don't have that opportunity?
It's still working.
I don't have
mine.
that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? So I see Sarah said that you just did a reading for her, so she got to find out what her totem animal was, Missy.
So that is one of the things that we do is we can give you your totem animals. They just pull that right out of the Akash.
What does that mean? Is that one of those animals that walks with Sarah forever?
It's exactly as you just described. They'll give you the 9 that are the representative of your life, and then if something, then you do your own research. But then if there are some that are in and out and carrying specific messages, they'll tell you if something's around as well. But it's not going to be, that can be a day-to-day thing as we change our frequency. Those animals come in and out. But from what I understand, the 9 core ones stay the same. And then also 9 is not a consistent number. Some people have less. That is just we have always, everyone we've ever met with has had 9. That's what I will say. I can't close the door on it and say that it isn't possible to have a
Right.
different number.
I certainly didn't. I was writing down the ones that I remember from my vision quest, and there were not 9. But I think that's because some had presented themselves before. And I think there's a couple still that have not presented themselves yet, you know, because I'm not ready.
How can you be not ready?
So, like, one of them was turkey vulture that I have. And I, right, Jen? And based on, you know, they are so energetic. They fly on the waves, the airstreams. They smell super well. I do too. Like, I've just always associated and like vibed with turkey vulture. I really needed to figure out how to work with that damn coyote before, you know, and to walk the coyote and the bear together because they're so different. They're so different. I think I need to figure that out more. And really, I have groundhog energy too, which I'm still working on because I'm not exactly walking hand in hand with that groundhog. So I just don't think I'm ready for whatever that next thing is. Is he naughty? No.
Yeah. I was like, you're not walking hand in hand with the groundhog? Is he naughty? Does he steal your nuts?
No, the damn squirrel does, though. No. I just don't think. I think when you do I don't think. I know when you do a vision quest, you go in with a certain thing that you want answered, something that you're looking for, and you're presented with the pieces that you need to help you move forward from that point. I right now am ready for another vision quest because I have different questions. I have a different aspect of my life to move forward into. And I think if I were to do that, the other pieces would fill in.
That sounds awesome. What's the modality or the belief system behind the vision quest? Is that shamanic or?
It's Cherokee.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
I ask a lot of questions too.
You keep asking your questions.
What are your guys' thoughts on the difference between like your totem or power animal versus just a medicine animal? And what does that do for you? Because for me, I'm very clear on like when a medicine animal comes in or when it's just a short period, I need to facilitate or it's helping me either pull something out of me that it has, or it's gonna give me the medicine that I need for that. But as far as power totem, the ones that walk with you, what can you explain your view on the difference that might be, and how does that actually? How do you hold that? I guess. Does that make sense?
That's where the work comes in. Like when you do a vision quest and that animal comes in, it's like there's those traits and those qualities and those aspects of that animal are those that live within you. And now those may be latent skills or qualities that you have that you need to work on to develop. So one of my other animals is a blue jay. They're kind of bitchy.
Loud and freaking annoying.
Yes,
So
they are beautiful, but
they are
not
gorgeous.
They're not awesome always. They're pretty mean. And so like those are characteristics that I need to work on. You know, so I don't think your power animal's not always like, hey, these are all the wonderful things about you. They're also pointing out, hey, here's your areas of opportunity. Here's the areas that you can work on to develop to become a better person. And I mean, like when you're scared, when you need courage, when you need power, you call in the animal that's going to give you what you need in that moment. So, you know, if I needed to stand up for my boundaries and I needed to be a little territorial, I would call in Blue Jay to be like, hey, give me the voice and the power to do this. That's my thoughts.
Do you think that that comes from the animal realm, or do you think that your other guides and angels are sending the animal?
The power animal?
Like whatever your reference is for, you just said if you need to step up or you need to embody a specific quality more so, and they're trying to reach you in a certain capacity. Do you think that the message comes from the animal realm, or is the animal realm the messenger for your other guides and angels, or the other versions of you that exist that are trying to get your attention?
Yeah, I think it's my inner knowing that just knows what needs to be used, and that's the thing that comes to mind.
Sometimes I ask questions just because I want to hear you talk.
Me specifically?
Yes. No, not you specifically. Anyone, silly.
I know. Jen, what do you think about that question you just asked? What's your power animal?
You know, I think I need to do more work as far as power animals and in finding my awareness into my 9 different. That's not something I've ever really dove into. I've been really leaning into what I need in the moment and like the more medicine side that I or the messages that are coming in. What's this is, you know, and then also with some of this messaging that's coming in, you're kind of, I don't want to say stuck, that's not the right word. In the Midwest, we have certain, you know, environments, so we have certain animals that can, you know, physically come to you for messaging. I'm not saying you can't get, you know, let's say an octopus can't come in that's, you know, for some reason for you, but it just really, I've been really focusing on like the medicine part of it. So like, okay, I'm in this space, oh, this shows up, what's this telling me, how's this benefiting me, healing, helping, whatever, through whatever that period is. So as far as like who I am, the 9 different power animals, I had thought, like I said, maybe Raven was one, and now I'm questioning that. So I'm kind of in that questioning period of my life again, which is really fun and exciting. So I was really excited when you guys wanted to do this, because I think it can be talked about more on a deeper level, because I think that I like the concept of our 9 chakras and an animal maybe sitting within each of those points, or maybe even the ones that come in for those phases of your life, like the animals that I needed in my childhood, I might not have needed right now, or I might need again, you know.
Well, so when I was really facing my shadow self, I would have a lot of dreams about, there was one, I was laying in bed and the light kept going on, so I'd have to get out of bed to go shut the light off. But every time I would get up to shut the light off, a wolf would chase me ferociously. And so it just like that dream happened all night long, you know? And I like now thinking back on it, it's like, oh, that's really symbolic, isn't it? But there was dogs, always wild dogs after me during my shadow period. But then also right before I came out of my shadow, like exploring that shadowy part of myself, I was walking up a hill and these wild boars started chasing me. So I think there's different animals that come to you at different points. Like you said, Jen, in your childhood, you didn't need those animals that you now need. And you no longer need maybe those animals that you had in your childhood. I had a dream about a red-tailed hawk one night, and like hawks were always in my dream at first, and I would see hawks everywhere. And one night the hawk tried to land on me and I pushed it away. And I've never seen a hawk in my dreams again, ever.
Oh, no.
Got the point.
Get out of here. I have to swear, get out of here, right, you damn bird. I hated birds before I started this walk, and now I'm just surrounded by birds everywhere. There's birds everywhere. It's so funny.
When we have asked about that before, birds and small creatures are easier for individual spirits to send messages through, just because of their consciousness level and how their consciousness is put together. So they are more easily influenced by spirit, where I can send you a cardinal. I can send you, I when I die, I may very well send you a boar, because that is freaking hilarious to me. The idea of you being chased by a boar, that I would just sit in the afterlife and LMFAO. That would be so funny.
That'd be hilarious. So with the Native American tradition, birds are messengers, and they are the closest to Creator. So that makes sense with what you have to say.
Why would you say that they're the closest to Creator?
Well, they fly closest to Creator. They're able to access higher areas.
Okay, that's what I thought. But it just reminded me of something that. Did you know? And someone correct me if this is wrong, but I think that birds were the first. Biblically, I think birds were the first animal created.
Oh, really?
And so when we had to explore this when a client had a crow drop dead in front of him. Like he's like, I'm just standing on the street corner and this bird just drops out of the sky in front of me. That can't be good, right?
Oh.
And they explained that it was just a cycle ending, not just, but it was a cycle ending, and it wasn't necessarily indicative of him personally.
Yeah.
But then had explained that birds were one of the first programs running, or the first messenger sort of programs. And so I had forgotten about that for a long time until you mentioned that. The birds being closest to God, because or Creator, I do think that they hold a significance somewhat elevated, pun intended, above the others in some capacity.
Well, think about the eagle. We think about the eagle and we see how it flies high above, and we all want to be like eagle, right?
Right.
And it just elicits such a sense of peace and freedom for us. And just think how close it flies to Creator if you're thinking about it as an elevation aspect. And that is the wisdom of Creator right there. Do you guys watch the animals to tell you if you're on the right path to something or direct you? Now, I'm going to say my dad has always said that his wife is a hawk, and he knows that if he's driving down the road and if he sees hawks with their back to him, he knows that he's in trouble when he gets home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
You guys, everybody, am I echoing?
No.
I hear it.
No.
Okay.
I'm having some internet issues, so I apologize on my end, but...
Lena, do you watch the animals for signs on what you should do or what direction you should go?
I do, and I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you, Randy. I have a lot of connections with birds, which is not something that I anticipated. But yeah, ever since Raven has popped up, I definitely look for them and I pay attention to when they show up and how often, especially when they show up in pairs. Yeah.
A couple years ago when the Standing Rock was going on and they had the Standing Rock camps. Is that what it was called, you guys? The water? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was going to go out there and stay for at least a week or two by myself. And my husband had gone out with me before I left, I think it was Jamie or my friend Ramona who had said, watch the animal signs. All the way out there through periodic points in the journey, I would see a black cat in the ditch running, going the same way that we were. And my cat is a black cat, and that cat shows up everywhere, no matter where I am. And so I was like, okay, I'm on the right path. Well, we got stopped like 2 miles outside of the camp and told that we needed, by a very nice National Guardsman, by the way, who said, oh, you're a medic? Okay, you can go around this other way. So it took us like an hour to get around, but that whole last hour of the trip, we saw no animals, and the ones that we did see were dead. And we got to the camp, and I was like, I can't stay here. I have to leave. I'm not supposed to be here.
Wow.
So my part of the journey was just to get me there, was to get me to go there to ensure spirit that when they asked me to do something, I would do it. It was kind of like a test. Because as you might know, I'm a little stubborn.
No.
Jen, are you shocked?
What?
I know. Who would have thought?
This is totally new information to me.
I know. I know. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Randy, talk about the hunting deer ceremony. So my husband's a deer hunter, and our elder taught him a ceremony to do when he goes deer hunting. And Jamie might need to fill in some of these pieces. Matt's not here to talk about it. But basically it is, going out, and before you start the hunt, approaching it with a very reverent spirit, speaking to deer clan specifically, asking it, to send out a representative to be sacrificed that will help sustain, our tribe, basically. And so then the hunt goes on, and the deer that are killed are then smudged. And I think there's a ceremony that happens with that too. And I do think Matt cuts out the heart and does something with the heart. I don't know. Is that what you wanted me to talk about, Jamie? But it's really like creating this connection between the animal spirit and yourself, and saying what you need and why you need it, and offering respect and honor to that animal. And we do use every part of the animal in some way. Some of it may be like it just gets donated to, where is it? I think he drops parts of it off to Tyson's because they use it. I think that's what it is. Like the pelt gets dropped off at Tyson's because Boy Scouts will use it to practice tanning leather hides, or they'll take the feet or the hoofs and do something with them. I don't even know. Is that it, Jamie?
I agree with Sarah there. That is an amazing way to honor the animal.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm hearing from all of this,
Taking its life break.
Yeah.
And Matt actually, so he and I and my mother-in-law did our vision quests all at the same time. And they tried to tell us, they're like, okay, you're all going to be set up here. And Matt, being Matt, he was like, nah, I'm not going to do it here. I'm going to do it over there. And so he set himself up in the middle of a meadow, and he had a mama deer. I can't remember if there was a baby there with him too, but for a good amount of time. And that was his major animal. And the tribe that we are a part of, we're part of the deer clan. So he's got kind of a double whammy with that.
Oh, wow.
So he gets kind of frustrated when he goes hunting. I'll go out to Palisades and I'll be like, oh my God, I see a bunch of deer. And he'll text back and he'll be like, are you effing kidding me? I haven't seen anything in 3 days. So, maybe I should go hunting.
So I'm kind of hearing from this whole conversation is one, that the animals want to help us. They're serving us, they're helping us, and that we need to work better, or we can work more towards connecting with them, giving them purpose, allowing them in to help us as often as they can, and paying attention to what they have for us. And in honoring that, giving gratitude and all of that, and continuing that cycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seems simple, doesn't it? But
I think the key is not working so hard at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, getting hung up on it and what does this mean? And so if I have a new animal that approaches, I read really quick what it is, and I just take what I need, and I leave the rest. Jen, I got that from you. Take what you need, leave the rest.
I also think it's important not to overthink it, because you don't have to have somebody else tell you this is your animal totem. This is one of your animal totems. If you go into a store and you find yourself looking at, you know, a little snake sculpture or something like that, and you try to ignore it, and you just keep walking through, and then you think about it or you look back at it, like, look at that as like snake is trying to tell you something. Take it home with you. You know, don't take power away from yourself by thinking that you only have to get that message from other people. I think that was an important lesson for me to learn too, of like, oh, I'm drawn to this because it's trying to tell me something. It's not irrelevant because I thought of it, you know?
Yeah. And who was it above? Was it Melissa that said she always thought she had owl? She always thought she had owl, I think, because she liked them. Oh, it was Mandy. I always thought mine was an owl, but I think it was just because I love owls. Now I usually have crow or raven that is always around. But when I meditate, I see a wolf. It could be all of them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I really thought when I did my vision quest that I would have a cat of some kind because I love cats. And no, I got dog. And my mother-in-law, who loves dogs and thought she would get a dog, had a cat. She had a cat that sat in her circle with her all freaking night long, walking her.
Aww.
But we have an affinity for animals for a reason. And even if they're presented as a totem for us or not, we have an affinity for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, don't discredit the little guys, the less powerful ones. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of you guys know that, like, seagull, the fucking seagulls, I for whatever reason are one of mine, and I used to laugh and like was, you know, like, really, these fucking trash birds, you know. But they're amazing. They're super amazing. But cool. They're so, you know, and they've been a great asset to my spiritual journey. And so sometimes when you get an animal, it's not always going to be bear, eagle, black panther, you know, these big wolf, all these amazing reverent animals. It might be something kind of different
like
than what you're expecting. Ants.
Yeah.
Or mouse.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Mice are cool.
Yes.
You know? So I think don't disregard the powerful that all those little guys have.
Mm-hmm. I think we can use animals in reference to our clients that are also maybe having trouble bridging gaps, almost like what you were saying about like trusting that it doesn't necessarily have to mean what a book says it's supposed to mean, kind of thing. And so for people, two things I'm thinking here. So you get the seagull, right? And you're thinking, oh, trash birds, right? Or people who are like, oh, yuck, a crow, they eat guts, right? And
cool.
If you can not force yourself, but if you can change your perspective to see the good part of an animal or the good side of an animal, think about how that can change your perspective applicable to everything else. Like, I almost feel like there's a willingness to change perspective when it's for an animal for some people, because they're like, well, they're animals, they're lesser than, or whatever the case may be. They just seem to be more willing to change perspective in regard to an animal. But if you can make that a habit and apply that to your life, then in reference to other things, it's easier to shift, then, is my thought on that. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I just feel like it's an easier bridge to make when someone feels like they're doing it for someone else or something else. I feel like they're more willing to make the change mentally, because this is a hard thing to change sometimes.
I like that, actually.
Do you want to know what information was channeled about your animals that you asked for? Or do you not want to know if we're all about feeling it out? maybe you don't want to know.
I will.
Yes, of course. I want to know. And then we should hit up Jamie's question here once we're done with
Oh, yeah, do that.
Because that's a good question.
No.
Yeah, I don't see them as negative either.
I think that touches on a little bit what Missy was saying a little bit. It's our perspective of what we're viewing this animal as. Like a black cat, I'm projecting that onto the black cat, essentially, because I can't cope with the omens that and the path that I've created. Oh, it's that cat's fault. I tripped and fell, or I broke that mirror, I did that whatever thing. No, it's my own stuff. The cat was just maybe that, hey, pay attention because you're about to trip and fall because of XYZ, so yeah, I don't think.
Well, and don't you think that part of it probably stems from ancient mythology and things of that nature? I mean, those are all pretty old beliefs, I think, in terms of like the black cat. Like, to me, that just conjures up witches and like all of the stories that got pushed. I mean, I'm really thinking like 50s and 60s where they witches and black cats, and then it just became a thing. Well, how did that just became a thing? Because somebody wrote some books about it, I think it just became a generally accepted thing. I don't believe that there are any animals that aren't in some way serving.
Right.
Yeah. And the owl thing with Native American cultures, not every single Native American tribe believes that an owl is associated with death. Some do and some don't. And we have a lot of owls around here. And I had mentioned it one day, I think on Facebook. And a Native American fellow had reached out to me and he said, be careful, somebody's about to die. And I said, well, actually, my grandfather's nickname was Hoot. So I think it was my grandfather coming to say hello.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. They called him that because, what did they say? He would never come home before the owls stopped hooting or something. Like, it meant that he stayed out and drank a lot. That's where I learned to sip the communion wine after school.
Okay, so we had somebody asked about the wolf. Who asked about the wolf, ladies?
I think Lena.
Was it me? Okay. I threw out a couple and I really didn't expect you to pull all of them.
We already had done the wolf, so that one's already... Listen, speaking of wolf...
That's my dog.
I know, but... Okay,
Yeah.
So this is the way that we're looking at this on a collective level. So like the way you might look at a core wound or collective pain, and then it gets distributed throughout the soul circle or the soul family. This is similar to our animals function that way as well when they incarnate to 3D. Well, 3D to 3, 4, and 5, sorry. So the wolf, the information that was channeled was the wolf purges human loneliness and adds, where is it? Uh-oh, I screwed up. It's not on my ads list, sorry. That means it's somewhere in my old notes. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, so that one's not there. Sorry. But the raven adds prosperity to the collective and purges bipolar. The starfish adds physical health of the human heart and purges scarcity. Your magpie adds mother energy and purges toxic masculinity. not to be confused with just regular masculinity. And the octopus was adds forgiveness and purges aloneness.
Nice.
What about Coyote?
I think we had him already. Oh no, I didn't see Coyote. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I don't need it.
No, obviously you don't. Because I didn't give it to you. They just... I missed it.
That's okay. Well, did we miss any comments?
Don't know. Poor Jen is on the struggle bus. Her
I know.
internet or something.
What about birds flying through fences or rabbits and dying?
Free will's a bitch. That's what I said.
Well, I think we kind of addressed that.
Yeah, with the cycles.
When the death of an animal really isn't related to you dying, but it's like cycles. Yeah, like what you said, or Lena. Well, I don't know. Should we just sign off without Jen? And look I just looked at the time and it was 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds.
Perfect.
That's like a great sign. So,
all right.
Yep. Everybody have a great holiday week. Day, I guess tomorrow. The rest of your weekend. Have a good week. And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.